Venezuelan man arrested after posing as a teen to enroll in Ohio high school. Illegal immigrant Anthony Labrador Sierra charged with forgery after enrolling at a Perrysburg High School as a 16-year-old student. Now, I don't think this is the guy. I think this is
that guy with the blonde hair, yeah.
And I mean, maybe he could pass for 16, but he's got a lot of dirt on his lip for 16. Anyways, a 24-year-old illegal immigrant from Venezuela was arrested in Perrysburg, Ohio, after he allegedly enrolled in a public high school using fraudulent documents. Court records show that 24-year-old Anthony Emmanuel Labrador Sierra has been charged with forgery and is being held on $50,000 bond. The Perrysburg Police Department said it was contacted by the Perrysburg local schools on Monday about possible fraudulent activity involving one of its students. After a preliminary investigation, a fraud charge was established and handed over to the department's detectives for further investigation. Detectives worked with U.S. Customs and Border Protection and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and it was discovered that Labrador, yes, that's right, was a 24-year-old from Venezuela. Investigators also learned Labrador Sierra used fraudulent documents to enroll in Perrysburg School and was posing as a 16-year-old student. Is that all they say about him, huh? He's not.
You know how they say that when people come to this country and they don't know English, they'll watch like American movies? Mm-hmm. Maybe the only movie that worked was Billy Madison.
Yeah.
He watched it over and over and over again. He's like, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go to high school.
I was going to say this is Hollywood's fault. This was Hollywood's fault for 30 years of movies where high schoolers are played by dudes in their late 20s and early 30s.
Right.
Here's what's even a little bit more horrifying. Like, it is kind of funny when you think about it. Like, how did no one know? Hopefully he didn't have contact with any of the females that were children there. That would be horrifying. But also, can I just point out, there's no way that that's his real name. Labrador Sierra, like that just sounds fake. But
he's just he's just got a dare, and he's just trying to see how long he can get away with it.
It's insane. But yeah, I mean, listen, this entire idea that he is posing as a kid, there's a lot more questions of actually what's happening in our school system, because we've had teachers back in Minnesota, Minneapolis Public School Teachers Union came out and said, basically we're going to hide, criminal aliens from ICE and everything like that. Like, they're 100% saying that that's what they're going to do. I wonder if they did the same here. Mm-hmm. Like, were there certain teachers that knew and they were like, okay, we're just going to, let him pose? Because like, if he's acting as a 16-year-old, who was acting as an adult? Does he have more people that came in? Because you can't just show up as 16 and be like, I'm registering for school. I'm by myself. Like, I think there's going to be a couple of questions.
He had a host family, and basically his baby mama, Evelyn Camacho, contacted the host family on March 14, 2025, saying like, yo, this guy's 25-year-old and he's a father of my child.
There you
go.
She
gave documentation to the family, and they're like, okay, this guy's nice.
So, okay, how did he get to the host family?
Dad.
That's a good one.
How did he get to the host family? Like,
this is what drives me crazy. So this guy was able to claim, like in the article here, it says he claimed fake asylum, basically because he's Venezuelan. So he claims asylum from all the communist party, like all the stuff that's going on. They're saying, oh, it's super dangerous for me to live in Venezuela. But the issue, and you talked about this earlier when you were talking about Americans. Why should Americans care about this? Like, okay, I understand that. But Americans generally care for like freedom, and they don't, like Raymond said, you don't want people to die and everything like that, right? These are fake asylees.
Yeah.
He's not claiming asylum from anything.
Yeah.
We are claiming asylum from a genocide that maybe is not happening right now, but it's getting pretty close when you have all these stadium people talking about, oh, we must go kill the poor, we must go make sure every one of them dies. Huh? It's crazy that's even like, if you put that on YouTube, it's like, oh, it's bad, you can't say that. It's like, okay, well then how are we supposed to say like, yo, there's stadiums of people that want to kill all of us, right. And they may not have reached critical mass yet for it to be genocide. It's like, I agree that maybe that's not the thing, but it's like, I don't want to just let it happen.
Yep.
I'm not just going to stand idly by while I, as an American coming from that country, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just going to let all these people die. Like that would be crazy if I were to do that.
It 100% shows though that our asylum system is so broken.
Exactly.
And whenever someone just makes, again, a fake claim, I'm glad at least the article reported that. Like, I mean, Fox News, they do okay from time to time. But yeah, I mean, this is happening for so many people. So like I said, when you start to dig deeper, you ask, well, who approached the host family? Like, there has to be multiple people involved in this.
Right.
But it's like you said, to your point though, is like there are actual, if we as American people say we do have an asylum system, I think I'm I'm at this table saying I think we should. I like the idea that if there are people that truly are suffering because God has blessed this great nation with more, that there should be a process to be able to allow us to be able to vet those people. But the way that the last administration, Biden, was using it is just insane. It's just like mass, like, oh, all of you are asylee seekers. It's just like, that's insane.
I mean, that's a big part of the problem is the fact that they've abused the system. And I'm talking about the administration, not the people that have come here. The administration abused the system so much that the American people are just fed up with it. I just saw a poll today. Even after all of the, Maryland Man and all of the left using the media to do their best to try to make all of the people that the Trump administration has been deporting, who are almost all criminals now.
Yeah.
Right? They're starting with the criminals. They're almost all hardened criminals, bad people. The left has been trying to cast them as innocent victims and normal people that are just getting brutalized by the Trump administration. Even after all that, 66% of the American population, 2/3 of the people say we want deportations. Nice. Yep. Not we want to. They're aware that the influx has stopped. They're aware that the border is actually under control, and they still want deportations. This is not a situation where the American people are just going to be like, no, you know what, it's fine. And I really hope that shows at the polls when it comes time for the votes in 2028. Like, you need to make sure that if Congress does not do the things necessary to deport people, that people that are up for re-election lose their seats. Oh, yeah. Right? They should be primaried.
100%.
They should lose their seats. Democrats should definitely lose their seats to whoever the Republican is, because the Democrats are in lockstep and doing everything they can to defend murderers and rapists.
Yep. Also, think about how deep the ideological rot goes for the teachers. If you really think about it, you were talking earlier about the idea that teachers were shielding them from deportation or shielding them from ICE. So you're taking somebody who you can't confirm any real facts about, somebody who's misrepresented themselves to you, put them around children, and then want to protect them. The kids should be your first and foremost, the thing that you care about the most, the thing that you protect the most, your children, the kids that you're in charge of taking care of while they're in your school, and they don't put them above somebody who has been misrepresented, is already a criminal because they're here illegally, and you're choosing them over the safety of the children in the school.
Yes, because I think the left has this huge blind spot, and I always try and delineate. There's the rank and file people that are default Democrat left, and then there's the people that are organizing that are part of the actual structure of the left. Those that are organizing that are part of the structure, the majority of them understand that they have political goals and aims, and they know that they're not popular, so they always have to obscure and make things seem like they're not what they are. Versus the average rank and file Democrat or person on the left, they just believe that, oh, someone comes to this country, it's because they want a better life. Yep. Who are we to say that we shouldn't give them a better life? And I think a lot of the teachers that are part of these teachers unions that are happening all across America are the same thing, where they're like, why wouldn't we protect this family? They're just here for a better life. But they don't recognize or even acknowledge that there are bad faith actors. Evil exists. There are people that are doing horrifying things. And if we don't have a system that can even check that, you're actually not helping anything. All you're doing is hurting the system.
Dude, if you look right here on the same article, you can see where it says the federal judge in San Francisco ordered the Department of Homeland Security to continue TPS status for Venezuela, even though it was said to not do it. They disagree with it numerous times. It's like you said, they're what are we supposed to do unless we start to at a certain point? For me, it's what are we going to do until we gut the system? One of my friends, who's a lefty friend of mine in DC, was like, I'm surprised. He's recently just been having this hard red pill moment where he's like, well, I don't care who gets rid of the corruption and the nonsense. It's someone has to do it. And if you believe in the government, you believe in the system at all, you're going to say someone has to do it, So yeah, I shouldn't call him a leftist. He's default Dem, but the same thing. It's he's only realizing now that they lied to me about the shots. Oh, they lied to me about all this stuff, and he's realizing what he's having a red pill moment. He's just having it happen. It's kind of being forced by all this stuff. But
I feel like that's something that I come back to a lot on the show because so much of what we talk about is so deep in the weeds with politics that it's obfuscated by the fact that, look, a large swath of the population, you call them default Democrat, I call it more just default liberalism in this country, which is like maybe they vote, maybe they don't, but they see that, and it goes back to what I said about suicidal empathy, which is that being raised in America, you are raised to understand that you live in the greatest country on earth. You are among the most economically and socially privileged people on the planet. It doesn't matter what race you are. You were born into one of the most amazing places you could ever be from. But the problem is that's been twisted by Marxists, by communists, to be a bad thing that they have to then go against their own self-interest to prove that they are as good as they need to be to fit in within what society believes to be acceptable for Americans to believe. You are not allowed to put your own self-interest ahead of anything else in that belief system.
And it's because you were born here.
And it's because you were born here. Now, there's a difference. Me and Phil have talked about endlessly about the idea that one of the things that you have to accept is that nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to help you. And that kind of separates a lot of people who fall on conservative lines more than anything else. Whereas people on the left who do fall into that category of suicidal empathy believe that there is one thing that can fix everything, and that's the head of their government. And when it's not them in power, it's all about the revolution. When they are in power, it's a weapon that is wielded against everyone else.
Yep.
And the people who hold it up are those oftentimes good-willed default liberals who just don't understand how much of a dark weapon it is being that ideological system is being used against them and everyone else. And it's infuriating to see because you want to make them see it, but you can't. They have to find their way to that answer on their own.
And most people won't be able to see it until it actually affects them or someone they know.
Front door.
Yeah. You know, they'll feel like, oh, the government's just doing this because it's the right thing to do, because we want to be good people. You know, the argument about, free speech, like there's the argument, oh, you have to be able to say whatever you want, and et cetera, et cetera. And then when people are deported because they're saying things that are anti-American, they're like against America. It's like, well, he should have his free speech, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, look, it's not a criminal penalty. For being deported is not criminal penalty. So there's no, it's not like you're being prosecuted by the state. The state can just say, oh, you don't get to stay. But sowing that kind of unrest has actual, tangible, real world ramifications, and it tends to hurt the fabric of the country. The people that make up the country start to believe, well, maybe my country's not all that great.
And I think
maybe there are problems that we can't fix, and maybe we do have to have some kind of significant change. Maybe violence is acceptable, and these ideas start creeping around.
I think that the left is susceptible to groupthink because they just have a tendency to want to believe in like this collective action thing, right? And I think that's why people that end up sorting themselves into Democrat or liberal versus right or conservative is because they just have a tendency. They're like, oh, I'm part of the collective group. And the left, again, the folks that I would say are part of the actual structure of making policy, they understand that. That's why they pound these narratives into your brain constantly over and over again, talking about the Maryland man. Literally, we had our local newspaper, Minneapolis, the Star Tribune. They wrote an article about a Twin Cities man who's an Ecuadorian national who crashed while drinking and driving and killed an American citizen.
Yep.
And ICE finally picked him up. But that's what happens with the left, is that those that are in power use this desire and tendency of the left to be collective to lie and trick them. And like you said already, it's until it's at their door that it has this very jarring cognitive dissonant moment. It's like, wait, all these things that I've been told are not true. And that's when you have like this great awakening. And that's honestly what the MAGA movement is full of. A bunch of people that used to be on the left and their values really haven't changed. It's just they're open to seeing, oh, the things that I was being lied to just aren't true.
Phil, before you move on to the crazy ladies, a white pill moment is that still, even though with all the Maryland man stories, the Twin City man stories, all the lies from the media trying to get compassion for these criminal people, still 66% of America are like, yeah, get them the F out.
Yeah, I mean, it was popular before the election. It's the major reason why Donald Trump was elected.
They're not falling for the media lies.
And it is good that people are saying, I don't care. that that you're saying this about these people, or I don't care that these people are going to have hardship. Like, people have hardships, but we can't allow 20 million people that are here illegally to stay in our country.
It's also astroturfed. Remember, Obama did campaign on illegal immigration, and that was a very popular idea for both sides for a long time. And it wasn't until 2016 came around that became something that became a no-go on the left.
Well, from 2016 until well into 2020, you would hear the leftists that were protesting Donald Trump or what have you. They were protesting and saying things like no ICE, no wall, no USA at all. People heard that and they're like, oh, there are people in this country that don't even want the U.S. to exist. And part of their method to dissolve the United States is to dissolve the borders, so that way there's no delineation between Americans and people from other countries. There's one thing that I want to talk about, the poll that Serge put into the chat. It's 51-49. Where do we send them back to? Gitmo or back home to D.C.? 49% to Gitmo and 51% back home. I don't care where. But the point is, their home countries don't want them. So skip the question. Just send them all to Gitmo.
Also,
send them all to Gitmo.
One more thing, if you want to point out to what we were talking about just a little bit ago about those kind of good-hearted liberals who don't really understand their language, is like when they have the sign in their yard that says no human being is illegal.
Yeah.
And you understand that is a slogan, it's a platitude, it means absolutely nothing. And if it was at their doorstep, they would absolutely understand what it means. Yeah. But they're not thinking that deeply about it. So again, I think that a lot of times we get lost in the weeds and you kind of over-discuss something that they're just not ready to have a conversation about at all.
Martha Vineyards is a perfect example.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's worse. I think they actually know, and they're just really awful.
That's
just a NIMBY. Yeah. That's just a not in my backyard. Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.